once again for clicking into another edition of Sit Down with Ed Brown. Today, we got the first ever return guest, the one and only, Mr. Stacy Brown. Hey, Stacy, how's it going, buddy?
What's going on, dude?
Hey, man, glad you could make it again. Had so much fun with the last one. I felt like we had to get you back. I know you got a lot of things going on. We want to make sure we touch on as much as we can of it. So let's kind of decide for just a moment. What's Stacy Brown up to?
Well, right now I'm kind of dabbling with a couple of different things, you know. I got this, me and David started this business. It's like booming right now, so we hustle a bunch of different things. We're always making money, you know. Foot-wise, you know, I got some filming I'm doing here at the end of the month, back for TV again, and, you know, I'm hoping I got some other ones behind that, you know, so it looks like my whole year maybe just doing that. But, you know, we got something we're about to try to really get this done, you know, the darkness animal. So pretty much, I mean, they're coming up to the spot we go to, like, frequently, and we've actually kind of nailed a pattern now of days are coming in, and because the lady that lives there, I mean, she keeps track of all this stuff, and we've just looked at months and months of data, and we kind of got a pattern out, so we're going to spend about 3 weeks sitting in the same spot, you know, just waiting for them to come in to feed and scrounge and stuff, because they come up to eat, like, cat food or digging the garbage or something like that. They're like scavengers. So we're just going to be sitting there waiting on them, you know, like day in and day out, 3 weeks to a month. I honestly don't think it'd take 7 days if, you know, they stick to the pattern.
Sure.
But we're giving it a whole cycle for the pattern. It's all by the moon, it seems like, in the weather.
So these things are coming up. I mean, what are these things? Well, I mean, kind of give me an idea of what you're talking about. What are the things that you're referring to?
Well, I mean, Bigtruth. They just like Miss Bridges. She's got this. You know, we spend a lot of time out there. You know, trying to study these things and how they operate. But they're highly intelligent is the problem. You know, so they're not stupid. And you know, they've learned things because I've been there for about almost 4 years now. I get to learn things about me to when I'm in the woods, they really don't come around, you know. So, and I don't know if it's things like they can see my car there in the driveway. I mean, you can't miss my car. It's like Bigtruth probably even thinks it's cool. But, you know, things like that. Maybe they're hearing the way I walk in the woods, you know, because like people that have encounters there are people that are kind of weary, you know?
Right.
Like kind of scared. I guess maybe if you're walking in the woods, and you're active, maybe body language has a lot to do with it. I'm not sure, but they come up to feed, you know, like if it gets real stormy, if there's a storm coming.
Right.
You know, most of your animals will feed anyways, but they'll come up to the house to feed, and they're really comfortable with being there because they just built this structure on their back porch right under the window that honestly had to take, like, I mean, time, brother. Like, we're talking like 30 minutes. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking how I could build this thing quickly. And so, I mean, I guess they're really comfortable. They've got the pattern of the bridges, you know, figured out. They've got my deal figured out. So, you know, we're going to do a thing where my car's not going to be there. I'm going to get brought in, go to my spot, not move, and just wait for them to come to the spot, the trash can, and when they do, they'll pop them. So hopefully that works out, you know.
Good deal. So you mentioned that you and David have a business started up. What kind of business are you guys doing?
We're doing it's straight. We're doing air duct cleaning, you know. We just moved into Jacksonville, and now I'm like getting behind because I've got so much. Our ad run, and it just like blew up. So I'm like, I had all these other things planned, and now I've kind of balanced it and stuff. But you know, that's what I call it hustling, I guess.
Well, good luck with that. I mean, that's awesome. So what else you got going on? I mean, you're such a busy guy, and I gotta tell you, I was thinking about this earlier. You know, you got your business, you got your kids, you got your bigfooting, you got your music. How do you balance all that? I mean, how do you balance everything and you stay focused? You know what I mean?
I suffer from like ADHD, like severely. So I guess it's kind of easy. I figured it out where I don't. They used to give me like when I was a kid, they would give me Adderall, you know, and that stuff like really messed my teeth up because I constantly grind my teeth and I wouldn't eat anything. I mean, it's pretty much like cocaine,
right?
Except you don't get like numb in the face. So this it was horrible. You know, I'm not a person that wants to take a lot of medicines and things that are not natural. So I quit taking it and just figured out how to live my life. But I ended up doing a lot of things, and I just stay busy. I like staying busy because, you know, if you sit down, I'll sit down when I'm dead. You know, I ain't got time to sit down and watch TV or nothing. It's just, I mean, right. I want to stay busy doing something. But yeah, we got a show next Friday. I guess it would be this Friday. Yeah, this Friday. Opening for. There used to be this band called Tantric back in the day.
Uh-huh.
Pretty big, like, rock band, and I guess they're going on tour, so we're going to open up, trying to get the new record done and things like that.
Great. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, I'll tell you, man, I commend you for everything that you're doing. You know, I think that it's got to be hard, and I think that's awesome. But, you know, it's funny because even with all the other stuff you're doing, you're also organizing a great conference down there. Let's kind of get into that a little bit. When is your 2015 Skunk King conference?
It's going to be March 13th and 14th. We're going to have it this year. You know, I haven't really ever been to a lot of conferences, but from what I gather, you know, they're usually in like a lodge setting or like a hotel setting and stuff. And I mean, that's all fine and stuff, but like I said, I got ADD, so I'm like, I can't pay attention to that. You know, I get in there and it's boring. I feel like I'm back in school or something. So there's a reason I dropped out, you know what I mean? But anyways, ours last year went great. The people loved it. You know, just to me, extremely boring. And all the speakers were awesome, but I just can't sit down and do that.
Right.
So we're going to have like a camp out, you know. It's going to be in the woods at Turan State Park at our film site. So that way we'll be able to take people squatching and be around the campfire setting and stuff, be able to jam the guitars and, you know, just have a blast.
So let me get this straight. You're actually going to do this right where you filmed that infamous Stacy Brown FLIR video.
Yeah. I actually, because once we put it on Finding Bigfoot, you know, I don't spend a lot of time out there because now there's a lot of people out there doing it.
Oh, yeah.
I guess that's what happened. But then, you know, we work another area, spend all of our time. They're either in one spot or the other, but it's redundant trying to chase them up and down a 6-mile creek.
Sure.
So instead of one location, wait for them to come in. But we're gonna put this together. You know, feed everybody lunch and dinner on Saturday. You know, do all the events. Gonna do classes, all kinds of different things, and then that night we're gonna take up all Bigfoot hunting.
Well, I'll tell you what. You know, as if this star-studded list of speakers you have isn't enough, you're going to do it in a place where one of the best footages, in my opinion anyway, was ever captured. I mean, that's a draw in itself. I mean, I think that's awesome. And I told you before when we were talking, you know, before the interview and everything, I had mentioned before that I think that the idea of going out to the campsite and joining a conference kind of on the ground, I think that's going to set you apart. And I think that you got years and years and years of this coming, because I think that's awesome. I think it's going to be great. It's going to be a fun time. Hopefully as many people that can go will. But I understand there's a limit. How many people can you have?
We got a 60-person limit. We get the two biggest campsites just to hold everybody. But mainly because taking 60 people in the woods is, I mean, now like my team's got to be there helping out too, and then the speakers. So there's got to be several groups. We're going to try to keep the numbers down and spread out. The park's huge, so there's no way we can cover all of it or run into each other. And I think if we're in small groups, maybe 5 at the most, we can, actually have a shot at coming close to a Bigfoot because they are there.
Right. So is there is there like a plan involving is the campsite just yours? I mean, is the area going to be pretty clear with other people, or is it just going to be your conference there?
Well, they have 2 youth camps they do for Boy Scouts and things like that. So we got both of those. There are primitive sites miles out into the woods that people may stay at, other people. But this place doesn't do a lot of tourism. They do a lot of Bigfoot tourism now, but there's the chances of us, having a problem with somebody else. We've got the majority of the site.
Right. Gotcha. So if somebody is going, what do they need to bring with them? Do they need to bring their own tent?
Yeah, they have 4 spots for cars. Okay, so we're going to reserve those 4 spots for cars in the campground. So we're going to reserve those for people with special needs. I'm sure if we have some special needs people that they can car camp. But besides that, they'll bring whatever they want to sleep in, tent-wise. I myself don't sleep in a tent. I sleep on the ground. But I think they may frown upon that. I think everybody's passed out drunk or something. So
I'm sure somebody be taking pictures. Stacy.
Yeah. If there's people passed out all over the place, but yeah, you just tents, and what you like to eat, water and things like that. There are showers there at the campground.
Cool.
But I mean, we will be in the woods. It's right there. There'll probably be deer walk right through the camp, even with it loaded down. Done it before, So it'll be fun,
Awesome. So I know that you and David are going to be there. David Lauer, who, by the way, is a great guy. I like him a lot. What are you two going to be doing yourselves? Because I've got your list of speakers here, and I'm going to kind of go down the list one by one and kind of talk about what everybody's plans is, what you're going to do, so that everybody kind of gets an idea, not only of who's going to be there, but also kind of what to expect. Because I think that once people get a realization of what's going on, you're going to have so many people there that you're going to fill up in a couple of days. But so you and David, what are you guys going to be doing as speakers?
Me and David are not really going to speak at this conference. We spoke at the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So what we may do instead is teach a couple classes, different things. I may teach a tracking class, and David may teach something along the lines of something he's really good at. He's really good with DNA, but I gotta understand what Todd's talking about before we clear David to do a DNA class. You know what I mean?
Sure.
David's attention to detail is just phenomenal. I have none. But we done talked about that.
Right.
But yeah, so we're mainly gonna just be there. We may do a couple classes. Main thing is we're going to be taking people out in the woods at night, with the Squatch hunting part of it,
Awesome. I think you guys are going to be great leaders for that, with your experience and everything else you guys got going on. You know the area. And I've always felt that a good Squatcher, a good one, that's the first thing they need is to understand their environment. If you don't understand your environment, then you're just going out there creating a mess, in my opinion. You got to understand your environment first.
Yeah, well, what we're also going to do, the reason me and him are taking people is either me or him, probably me, I don't know yet, but we're going to draw a name. We're going to leave majority of everybody in the park, but we're going to have everybody put their name in a hat, and then 10 people we're going to take to the bridges that we draw out of the hat. So it's fair, and they get to go to, in my opinion, the best spot in the country. And I've been all over the country.
Awesome.
So.
All right, so we got you and David. You also got the one and only Mr. Michael Merchant. How did you get Michael Merchant, and what's he going to be doing?
Me and Michael are actually pretty good friends, you know, even though I beat him on the show badly and made him look foolish. No, for real, we're pretty good friends. Few people in the world that will not lie, and I respect him for that and always will. But Michael is a expert with, you know, when it comes to surviving in the wilderness and things like that. I really wouldn't trust my life with nobody else, you know, if I was a novice, didn't know what I was doing, you know. Michael is an expert survivalist. So what we're probably going to do with him, you know, is he's going to teach a class on wilderness survival, and then, you know, talk about Bigfoot and things within his hour, but the main part of his will be just like wilderness survival, you know, be prepared for emergencies and things like that.
Oh, I think that's a great lesson to learn, and I think people get a lot from that. And I agree with you. You know, Michael and I aren't close. I don't talk to him very much, nothing like that. But I will admit that he is someone who he'll shoot you straight. You may not like what he says, and you may not like the way he says it, but he's right. You know, and that's so Michael's a great catch, and I think that's gonna help you a lot as well. Now your next speaker I've had on the show, a very out there story, but man, I tell you what, Mr. Justin Smeja, I mean, you know, that story when he told it to me personally, it was I had to say, as crazy as it sounds, I felt that he believed it, so it's hard to say it didn't happen, you know. So what about Justin Smeja?
Well, you know, Justin, like I told you before, you know, when me and him were on the show, we were in a situation where we were playing mind games with everybody. So some of the things coming out of our mouth wasn't exactly true. It was part of winning the money, you know. We did some shicey, backstabbing things. However, I wanted that money. So
it was a game.
It was a game, you know, and if you didn't play the game, you lost. So after the show, I really didn't believe Justin, or I didn't know what to believe, because he'll look you in the face and tell you, and it's just like, okay, this dude's definitely telling the truth. The only problem with it I have is the Bigfoot was 35 pounds. Why didn't you throw it behind the seat?
Right.
You know, so that was what I was battling with. But then I went out to Bigfoot Nation, and me and Justin stayed a couple days after left. You know, we were there days before. I was out there for like 10 days or something, and that thing was only like 3 or 4. So we were doing squatching. Well, we really didn't have no action up top. I mean, some people believe there was action going on, but, you know, it was like boring. So we moved down to where the animals were at a different elevation. You know, with the weather the way it was, they wasn't all the way up where we was at. So we went down the mountain, you know, lower elevation, I think about 6,000 feet, and we started seeing a ton of animals, you know, like 30 deer, you know, or so, and then like 20 or so bears. Like I had never seen so many bears in my life. We had a cougar walking in and out of our camp every single day, and we actually seen a Bigfoot, like in the daytime. We were walking down the road with this therm, and it was right at dusk. So I seen these things in this tree, and we went over to it and started walking towards them, you know, through the brush. I can't remember what those things were called, but they suck, dude. They had like thorns on them and stuff. But we're walking towards them, and Justin yells, "Bear!" And I turn and look, and I see this just huge brown mass, right? Mm-hmm. And so we back up a couple feet. Well, this thing runs off, all right? And you can't really make it through the bushes, but then it comes out. I've got my thermal up. Well, then I noticed that it's on its back legs, and this thing is not a bear, but it's an actual Sasquatch. And I'm looking at it, and as I'm looking at it, and I'm not paying attention to the camera, I'm just like glued to this thing for however long we were watching it, which is like 10, 15 seconds. mean, it was a while. I was just sitting there like, oh my God, is that, like really what I've never seen one in the daytime at this point. So, I'm looking at it, and then we were like, dude, we just got the best footage ever. Like, awesome, this footage is going to be so badass. And I'm reviewing it, and it ain't there. I'm, like, slowly pointing the camera towards the ground, right? So, like, this is probably the reason that I haven't mentioned this much. It was a complete and utter failure on my part. At this range, this thermal I have would have seen hairs and stuff. You know what I mean? This would have been, hands down, best footage ever. You got a Sasquatch from the knees up. And it really bothered me, Justin was pissed about it. He didn't say nothing. Matter of fact, we didn't say nothing to each other for probably 3 hours once we found out that I missed the footage. He was upset. I was high. I like to put myself on this pedestal and things like that. And if you're going to do that, you have to make sure you live up to that.
Right.
So I try very hard to walk the walk for the shit that I talk. But I messed up. I needed it was a wake-up call for me. So I work harder now. But anyways, then that told me that, yes, there were Bigfoots where we were at. And, like, seriously, this thing ran down the side of a mountain once it entered the woods and had no problem. We heard it go all the way to the bottom within a matter of seconds. Had I tried to run down that mountain, I'd have been rolling. I mean, this thing, by far, the fastest animal on the planet that I've ever seen. So he's going to be there, and he's going to talk about that story. And whether people believe it or not, you need to quit listening to what you're hearing on the Internet and get out there and actually get a chance to look him in the face and have him tell you the story. The man passed a lie detector test, okay? Right. So now that I actually seen a Sasquatch within miles of the spot where he killed some, I fully believe that he did kill him that day, and I just a bumbling idiot because he didn't put the Bigfoot behind the seat.
Well, I'll tell you what, people do things in the heat of the moment because they're so, I don't know, we'll call it a little bit in shock. You know what I mean? People talk about blurry photos and blurry videos. Doesn't it make sense that that's what's going to happen when someone sees something that they're like, oh my God, and they're shaking? It happens. People are, and I don't know. I completely makes sense to me how someone could, mess up. I've done it myself when I found a print that I took a photo of, and I didn't put anything down for scale. I didn't, and I'm not a photographer, but I took a class in photography. I know what I'm supposed to do, but I just didn't do it. So it makes perfect sense that someone in the heat of the moment, because they're so much in awe, that they're going to, that's a mistake that's going to happen. So don't beat yourself up over it. Let's stand there. Let's listen to what Justin has to say, and let's hear the story. I think that's awesome. Now, you had Rick Dyer as a guest, as a speaker, and then, unfortunately, I guess he backed out. That fell through. But you got an outstanding substitute in Dr. Todd Dissatel. Tell me a little bit about Todd and what's going on with Todd and what's he going to do? I mean,
well, the thing with Rick, here's the thing with my conference. The reason I moved it to the woods, I want it to be the most entertaining conference there is. That's the thing with Justin. Justin's going to be just telling his story. However, it is one of the most interesting stories, whether you believe it or not, in the Bigfoot community.
Right.
Rick Dyer's story, nonetheless, whether you hate him or you love what he did to the Bigfoot community, he did it not only once, he did it twice. So, if you're dumb enough to believe that him the second time, okay, then why wouldn't you come to watch him, is my thought, because hell, I mean, I was very interested in hearing the story from him and not off the Internet, and like I said, I want, interesting people. I'm not going to have boring people anymore, but we got Dr. Todd, and Dr. Todd actually was on from the beginning. We were going to announce him a little bit later. But, there's going to be a video presentation by him where I'm not going to give away what he's talking about, but it does have to do with Bigfoot. And you can just think about what comes from Dr. Todd, you know? I mean, because he is an anthropologist. He does know his stuff.
Sure.
He is the most credible scientist in Bigfooting. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah,
I think it's really a great thing that you have someone of Dr. Todd's level there, because what he brings to the table is that just that right amount of skepticism that we need in the community. You know, look, something may be out there. I see proof. You know, now there's somebody there now that can tell us what it means. You know, and how do we get that? So having him there is a huge boost to the conference, and I think people are going to love that. And of course, you know, I mean, how can you go wrong? I mean, Dr. Todd Dissatel, seriously.
Yeah, you know, I mean, he's tell it like it is, and so he's going to tell you that every wood knock you hear doesn't mean it's a Bigfoot. You know, he needs data. He needs the stuff to analyze. You have to get it to him, and he's going to tell you how to do that and what you should look for.
That's awesome. And I'll tell you, just to touch on Rick just real quick, because I know he's not going to be there, and that's unfortunate in my opinion, but, you know, I told Rick, when I talked to him, I told him, I said, you know, I'm not a Rick Dyer fan. I'm not, you know. I don't like what he's done to the community. However, when I talked to him, he was a generally nice guy. He was interesting to talk to, and I think it would have been a good addition had he stayed, and I think it would have made the conference what is already a great looking conference even better. But I definitely understand where he's coming from, and you know, it is what it is. But that's just what it is.
Yeah, you know, like I said, I'm not a fan of what he does either, but he is part of the Bigfoot community, and the story of how he fooled everybody twice, and I thought, just for the record, he didn't fool me but once. 2008, I bought it. Okay? I believed it full time. I was like, yeah, I was telling my fans, we were on the road, I was like, hey, you know, Bigfoot been found, cuz, and ain't nobody believe me. They're like, oh, bullshit, blah, blah, blah. And it turns out, you know, I had to take ridicule. He didn't fool me the second time. I don't know why everybody believed him the second time, but you did. So, you know, interesting story to hear. But he's backed out, so we got to keep moving on.
Sure. Well, it's a funny story, because when I was, in 2008, I wasn't involved in the Bigfoot community at that time. You know, I wasn't online. I didn't participate in that fashion. I remember my mother called me, actually, and she said, she goes, well, they finally did it. They found Bigfoot. And I'm like, what? And she said, you know, they got the body. It's in a freezer. They're going to be putting pictures out. I'm going, I was so ecstatic. I was glad, but I was also sad. But I was, as soon as I saw the first photograph, I was like, no. No. Yeah. No. So, yeah, I got had to for a minute. So, you know, that's all right. And I would love to hear. I would love to have heard his story, and I would love to at least say hi to him and shake his hand. And but you know, again, it is what it is. But you still got a great line of speakers, and actually that leads me to your headliner, who is, in my opinion, my favorite personality in the Bigfoot community. The guy I owe so much personally for Derek Randles. I mean, how did you get Derek? I mean, that's awesome. That's great.
Well, you know, I mean, it's kind of, I'm friends with everybody, all my speakers, so it's kind of, that's the way I got them to do it. So, but, you know, Derek runs the Olympic Project. He's got an interesting Bigfoot story himself. But, you know, the Olympic Project's a big deal. That's one of the biggest undertakings in the Bigfoot community. And he's a very credible Bigfooter. There's a lot he can teach people, and there's a lot he's got to say. And, you know, people down in Florida, this is why I do the conference. Without traveling across the damn world, don't really have a shot at seeing nothing like this. We're getting to hear these things besides the internet. And, you know, shows like yours and, you know, all that other stuff. But because I can do it, I feel I should do it for the Bigfoot fans down there. You know, everybody told me thank you. We really want you to have this again last year. I really enjoyed themselves. So that, you know, if I could put something together like this and bring a person like Derek Randles to the table, you know, it's going to please the whole crowd. And, you know, it's something that they'll really enjoy and start looking forward to every year. But Derek, you know, it's just a home run with Derek. You know, I mean, last year we had Lyle and, you know, Dr. Beltram, but this year I think our lineup's better. You know, I think we got a whole better conference planned, and nothing against them guys, but, you know, it was my first conference I ever put together, so I learned what to do, you know, off of that first one.
Right.
So the next one could be a knockout.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, I just want to say something about Derek here, because you hear it all the time. You hear people say, oh, everybody's got their haters. No matter what you think, no matter what you believe, everybody's got their haters. I don't know anybody who doesn't like Derek. You know, he's such a down-to-earth, such a real guy, and I put him, as you said a moment ago, you said Michael Merchant is one of the few people you know that will not lie. Well, I consider Derek Randles one of those people as well, and I think he's a great addition to your conference, and I'll tell you, I think he's got an awesome lineup.
I mean, he's very credible. You know, I was credible like that, but I know how many haters I got. I have a ton, brother. They got like a fan club and shit. It's called the Squatchers Lounge. But so you know, I just wish it was like that for me. You know, but so why not have the guy that, you know, I feel is the most credible person in the Bigfoot community? If anything ever comes from him, people know when they're looking at it, this is for real. You know, it may not be what we're looking at, but there is no shadow of a doubt in our mind that this man is telling the truth about what he's got.
Absolutely. He's a great guy. Not only is he a great researcher, he's a great person as well. And I think he's a great addition. And I can't say enough about not just Derek, but the entire lineup. You know, your entire lineup. I'm sitting looking at the list now, and I'm going just wow.
And we taking them Bigfoot hunting.
And absolutely. So your guests, you know, your clients, the people, your attendees, we'll call them. Your attendees not only get to meet and listen to and hang out with this incredible list of names, but they also get to go Bigfoot hunting with these people. I mean, that's incredible. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if anything's ever been done like that before. I'm not sure how these other conferences operate, but you know, makes the conference unique in itself. But I could be wrong. I don't study a lot of the other conferences. You know,
well, I'll tell you what. You know, there's a lot of different things going on out there, but I do think that this is going to kind of set you apart, your conference apart from the others. You know, I've been to the Ohio Bigfoot Conference, and Mark puts on an incredible conference up there in Fort Lake. Great guy, great conference up there, and I think that, you know, your list of guests will rival that, and I think it's going to be a good one.
Yes, sir. So we're hoping so.
So let's see. Now you've only got so many spots available, right?
Yeah. We only got 60 spots for people to camp. I'm really not going to let people come up day up. This is about camping. You know, there's a hotel option, but it's like 25 miles away. We're really in the boondocks, so it doesn't make sense for people to show up day up. But that way we'll only have 60 people, and then taking them Bigfoot hunting, it'll make it a little bit easier.
Sure. So everybody's going to meet there on Saturday, and then spend the night Saturday night. Go Bigfoot.
We're gonna meet there. We're gonna meet there Friday.
Okay.
Be arrival, and then around 7:00 we're gonna start the campfire up. Just have our meet and greet go on till whenever. At this point, you can take pictures with the guests. You know, do different things, and talk to them as a person. You know, get out from behind the computer and actually talk to these people. And, you know, we'll play some guitar, sing. I'm sure there'll be a good time. Friday night. So then Saturday, I don't know how good of a time people have. We're going to start at noon. Because some people may have more of a good time than others. But we're going to lunch, feed everybody, and then, you know, when that's done, we'll start having our speakers all the way up until dinner, and then we'll do dinner, and for everybody that wants to go Bigfooting, we will strap up and go on out.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like a great time, and I want to add that, you know, the last time we spoke, I had to put a little disclaimer on the video, letting people know that it was rated R.
Hey, you told me to be myself, so I was like, all right.
Oh yeah, blame the host.
I listened to it when I seen the little thing you had to click that you were of age to listen to something like this. I was like, all right, brother, maybe you shouldn't have been yourself that time. You should have saved that for another day.
Hey, it was a great show, and I got a lot of hits. A lot of people enjoyed it, which is great, and I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy this one as well. And hopefully, you know, we can have you on again sometime. Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you want to add, that you want to talk about?
You know, just if people want to purchase tickets, they could go to our website, the SasquatchHunters.com. There's a link on there, you know. And at the conference, we're going to have, like, vendors and things like that. So I'm not going to promise what we're going to have yet, but I've got some cool possibilities right now. I've thrown some lines out and got some pulls from a couple really cool things.
Good.
So people, you know, possibly all this demo equipment and things like that. I know Night Owl will be running the table for them because they're our sponsor, and that's part of it. So I'll probably be wearing, like, Night Owl optic shirts and hats and things.
Awesome.
Like a walking billboard at this point.
And let's cover that again, because I don't know how I inadvertently missed bringing that up, and I'm glad you did. That is the SasquatchHunters.com. That's one word. Go to the webpage. At the top, there's a link for 2015 Skunk Ape Conference. You go down, you'll see a list of all the speakers that's going to be there, which is an incredible list. And at the bottom, I'm looking at it right now, there's a link for tickets. You can buy now. You can use, looks like, MasterCard, Visa, American Express. You can use anything you want. You got it covered. Sounds like it's going to be a great show. And it's going to be, tell me a little bit about the price and what that covers.
It's $100 this year, and that's going to cover your camping. We have to buy the park, so that's actually going to cover that as well. And then your food for all that, you know, lunch and dinner for Saturday. And then, you know, you get the speakers and go Bigfoot hunting and things like that. So.
That's awesome. Well, Stacy, man, I'll tell you what, good luck with this conference. If you need anything, you let me know. I'll be happy to help out any way I can.
Well, you know, if the people listening go and buy their tickets and we actually sell this thing out, we're going to bring you down there and have you MC the event. That sounds good to you.
In a heartbeat, brother. All you got to do is say, hey, Ed, we need you down here, and I'm on my way.
So, Ed's fans, buy tickets so Ed can come and speak and you can meet Ed.
There you go. Yeah, add me to that list, and we'll get me down there, too. But yeah, absolutely. I would be more than happy to help out in that way. You just let me know.
Will do, brother. Well, I appreciate you having me on, man, and everybody taking the time to listen.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to enjoy it. And again, thanks again for showing up again. And for that, we're out.